hardcore survivalist here. You can call me hardcore survivalist because I'm a hardcore survivalist. I'm out here in the wild today to teach you how to live out in the wild. Ignore that fence back there. That's a naturally occurring fence. Out here in the wild, you ain't got no wimpy cell phones. You ain't got no stinking maps. We ain't got no cameras. We ain't no tourists here. Now here in the wild, one of the first things you're gonna need is shelter. New hardcore survivalists sets up their own shelters. Now where you can find shelter, some non-hardcore survivalists will sometimes come out here in the wild, uses things like tents and portable television sets and internet access and all that other stuff. But they ain't hardcore. In fact, they usually get eaten by bears. And so their shelters, you could usually find their shelters out here in the wild, and then you can use those. Now something else you're gonna need when you're out in the wild is food. Now every hardcore survivalist knows how to get food. First thing you wanna do is climb a tree. Usually, you can find up in the branches of any tree a nice cheeseburger wrapped up in a nice doggy bag. Now every hardcore survivalist knows that every fast food restaurant on the planet gets their hamburgers from some distant part of the world so no one can see what they're really made from. And then they use these really cheap cargo planes to transfer them to each restaurant on the planet. And that sometimes they lose some of their cargo and it falls down into the branches of some of the trees out here in the wild. Now that can be kind of hard sometimes because a hamburger might not have everything you want on it. It might even have some things you don't want on it, like putrid mayonnaise. But that's just one of the kind of things you have to deal with when you're out in the wild. But sometimes when you're out in the wild, you don't want hamburgers. Sometimes you want pizza. And I'm gonna tell you how to get it. Now every hardcore survivalist knows every pizzeria on the planet gets its pizza toppings from third world countries, and they use carrier pigeons to communicate. Now it can be kind of difficult to catch one of these carrier pigeons, but if you can write on a little note what you want on your pizza, then you can attach it to its leg and then send it off, and it will take it to the pizza place, and then they will send you a pizza. Now don't worry about paying, because it usually takes them a little longer than 30 minutes to get here. It usually takes them around 45 minutes. One time I had to wait an entire hour. But that's just the kind of thing you have to deal with when you're out in the wild. Now another important thing you're gonna need when you're out in the wild is fire. Now, you may have heard of some technique to make fire where you use a thing called a fire bow or something like that to start a fire. But that's new age stuff, it doesn't really work. Every hardcore survivalist knows that fire actually comes from the fire gods. Now what you gotta do is you gotta find some log that's out in the wild and bring it to the top of the highest mountain. And then you gotta do the fire dance. And it goes like this. Gangnam Style. Now from what I've been told, this dance looks a lot like another dance that's in some kind of music video or something. I don't know what it's called, I don't know things that city people know about. But where do you think the inspiration for that dance came from, huh? No, it didn't come from the act of riding a horse. I don't know. This doesn't always work. But most of the time, like 5% of the time, it works. Now another thing that every hardcore survivalist needs is water. Now contrary to popular belief, water does not actually come from the rain gods. The rain gods do not exist. The fire gods told me that. Now what you do if you need water is you gotta do the rain dance. But since rain gods do not actually exist, the rain dance is not gonna work. Now of course every once in a while it will actually start raining after doing the rain dance, but that's just a coincidence. Now the real goal of doing the rain dance is to get you real depressed when you find that it doesn't work. Once you get depressed you'll start bawling your eyes out. Cause sometimes it's kind of tough being out in the wild. And once you do that, you wanna try scooping up all of your tears and then drink that. Now, of course, the goal of survival is to survive, and then to eventually make your way back to civilization. In order to do that, you just have to start walking. And as you can see, I've reached civilization.